A selling price of a bicycle that had sold for 550 last year was increased by 15%. What is the new price? So there are two approaches here. Firstly, we can find the 15% of 550 and add it on. So the first step or approach would be 15%, right, times 550, right, is equal to, right, it will give us 82 rand, 5. Now remember that your calculator shows this amount here, 82,5, but your answer must be in 2 decimal form because it is money. That's the first step. Now remember, this money that we just worked out is only the 15%. Now this is only the increase, but they want to see the new price. So that means with the increase and the original price. So we say therefore it will be 550 plus 82 rand 50, and our final answer would be 632 rand and 50 cents. Now that's one approach. The other approach that your educators may have taught you is that the 15% that's indicated here in the story, yeah, right, we add it to the 100%. So we are saying it will be 150 over 100. So 100 over 100 would actually be the price of the original price of the item, and adding the 15% on the top would show that this amount will therefore suddenly be increased when we do the calculations. So we have 550 over 1. Now when you punch this into the calculator exactly, and you will arrive immediately at the new price for the new year. Now that is another method which is quicker, but if you don't understand this, either method will be marked correct in your exams. Study the patterns below and answer the questions that follow. If you look at pattern 1, we have 3, pattern 2 as 6, and pattern 3 as 9. Now it says write down the first 5 numbers. The first 5 numbers will be 3, 6, 9, we're adding 3 each time, 12 and 15. Right? We notice that there is a difference of 3. Right? This is known as our common difference. Right. Then we come to this table at the bottom. It wants us to complete the table, and we know that we've already worked out the first 5 numbers, which is 3, 6, 9, 12 and 15. Now in order to work out the 8, we can do it manually. If not, you can look at the pattern that's where each of these numbers are being multiplied. So you look at the pattern number, 5 times 3 is 15, 4 times 3 is 12, 3 times 3 is 9. So 8 times 3 will be 24, 10 times 3 is 30, 12 times 3 is 36, and 22 times 3 is 66. Okay, going to the next one, we have work out the rule or formula to find the 22nd term. Now we've already found out the 22nd term to be 66, but now they want us to use a rule. Now when we are dealing with common difference, we generally use a rule which you must know and memorize and work with that rule or formula to arrive at your answer. So it would be Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1 D. Right, the D will stand for the difference. Now we know what our difference is, 3, and the A will stand for the first number in the sequence. Right, and the N stands for the number, right, of the term. Right, so let's substitute. So we have A, our first number is is 3 in our sequence. If you look at it, put that down. Then we have n minus 1. Now n, in our question, it tells us the number of the term, which is, work out the rule to find the 22nd term. So we'll say 22 minus 1, and then we get the difference, which is 3. Right, working this in your calculator, you'll have 3, and then this will be plus 21 times 3, right? So we'll have 3 plus 21 times 3 is 63, and if you notice 3 plus 63 is 66, and therefore our answer is correct, right? You must make sure you remember this formula when going into the exams. If x is equal to minus 3 and y is equal to 4, find the value of the following expression. So all we need to do is we need to write this expression down, make sure we copy it properly so we know that we won't make a mistake in the exams when we are substituting. Right, now that I've copied it down, all I'm going to do is substitute. Right, it's important to put your substitutions in brackets so you know that you've already done your substitution. So the first one will be minus 3. Right, I leave that outside the bracket because I don't want to create too much of a bracket and cause a bit of confusion. So this will be 3. Now I'm going to put my minus 3 in there. Alright, plus 4, and I have 4 there, and close bracket. Right, you can end up putting this as square brackets, right? But as long as you understand that you need to work on the inner brackets first, and that will be minus 3. Keep this outside brackets. Remember, this is an outside brackets, right? These are your outside brackets. Make note of that. So I can, if you want to change it to a square bracket, just to show you how it would be written. If you want to avoid confusion, you can change that into a square bracket. So these steps, they are similar, just that I showed you the square brackets to show you that it gives you less of a bit of a confusion. So let's now get rid of the inner brackets. So we have minus 3. Okay, you can keep this as square brackets. So 3, this will give me minus 9. Right, remember, make sure you take note of the negative signs, and this would be 60. Right, so we have minus 3, minus 9 plus 16. If you don't know this answer, punch it in the calculator. It will give you a positive 7, and my final answer will be minus 21. Okay, there are 2 questions here that we need to do. So let's look at the first one. The first one is showing us that there is an expression on the top of the division line and being divided by the 2x. So what we need to do is we need to separate this, because this expression on the top is made up of 3 terms. So we need to separate each of these terms. So firstly, we'll start off with 6x cubed over 2x. Now our separator will be the plus there. And we have 2x squared over 2x, and then we have 4x over 2x. Now we need to work with them individually. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now let's look at the letters. Now it's 3x and it's x to the power 1. Now normally what we do is, these are the laws of exponents, so the letters are being divided. The bases are the same, but the letters are being divided. So it will be 3 minus 2. 3 minus 1, and my answer will be x squared. Now how do I know whether to put it in the top or the bottom? I normally tell my learners, find the answer and then look at the 2 terms, the top and the bottom. Wherever there's a bigger one, put that in that position there. So our answer is x2, it should go in the top because there's x3 there. Right, let's look at the next one. 2 divided by 2 is 1. We don't have to write that down. And then we have x2 over x1. So 2 minus 1 is 1, but my bigger amount is on the top, or bigger exponent is on the top, so it stays on the top, x to the power 1. And then we come to the next one, which is 4 divided by 2 is 2. And x over x, most learners get confused with this. They write down x, but it's actually x1 over x1. So 1 minus 1 is x to the 0, and x to the power 0 is 1. So we don't have to write this down. There's nothing further we can do with this question, so this becomes my final answer. Now looking at the next one, I'll rewrite it down here so it will help in teaching you better. So we have 3x plus 1 minus x and x plus 3. Okay, when you come to this one, right, this is a term being multiplied by a bracket. Now whenever there's a single term being multiplied by a bracket, in this particular instance here, then we call this the distribution law, right? So we multiply each of these terms by whatever is in the brackets. And keep in mind, you need to worry about the signs, right? So let's do it in parts. Let's do the first part. We have 2x times 3x, and that would be 6x squared. Then we have 2x times 1, which will be plus 2x. Then we have minus x squared. Then we have minus 3x, right? Make sure you double check, because worry about your signs and worry about should you have any exponents, right? For instance, here we have x squared times x3, so take note of those kind of things, right? Right, then all we're going to do is bring together the like terms. Now remember, there is x squared, that's a like there, right? This and this are like with the squared, although they all have x's, but you look at the powers to make sure that they are alike. So bringing them together is 6 minus 1. There is an imaginary 1 in front of that minus x squared. So it's 6 minus 1 is 5, and it will be x squared. And then we have plus 2 minus 3, which will be minus 1x. There's nothing further we can do with this example, so this becomes my final answer.